You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
Oh, it's good to be back.
McAvoy navigates in. His pass up top. Lorai scoops it up. Now to McAvoy. Pasternak healed a one-timer. Sent out in front by Lorai. Chipped at. Binnington doesn't know where it is. Pasternak shoots. Binnington, they score! David Pasternak rifles one home from the left circle. His first in 8 games. Brew 3, Blues 2.
Yeah! Damn right I'm leading with hockey this morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to another edition of the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks for checking us out across the video platform as always. Following me at PShep326 on X or Twitter, whichever you choose to call it. Facebook, SR1029thegame.com, IONTV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Kick, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube. We got you covered. As always, call or text the show, 727-858-6650. It is already Hump Day Wednesday, November 13th. Getting closer and closer to Thanksgiving. One of the greatest holidays of all time. Of all time! Man, oh man, lots to talk about today. First and foremost, our good friend, executive producer, and veteran Angel Martinez is off today. I'm not sure if he's doing his show today. He's just got a lot of stuff going on. Oh, wait a second. Hang on a second. Is he like popping in? Is he actually there? I wasn't expecting him to come on today. I told him because he was running around yesterday like a chicken with his head cut off, not doing family stuff and covering games and all that stuff. Good morning, Angel. What are you doing? Why aren't you in bed?
No, I should be. I am fried. My voice is shot. I think I'm seeing green clovers and Lucky Charms and all kinds of stuff. But I'm being tired. But I know you haven't been able to do a couple of videos the last couple of days, so I wanted at least to start off the show here with you this morning, as it's been, yesterday was a travel chaotic day. Long as I don't know what, Dad coming from New England.
You made every Uber driver jealous yesterday, what you did. The miles you put in.
Yeah, it was ridiculous yesterday. I think I could have probably gone to Texas and back with the amount of miles I ended up throwing around yesterday. It was just a long friggin' day. And thankfully for my wife and her sister, they have arrived overnight in Illinois. So it was just a long night for them. And there was nothing worse than when they're driving overnight to for a family gathering that they had to go to. Not a good one, unfortunately, but it's nerve-wracking. And so I just got off the phone with them before I came on the air with you. They're about 3 hours away from their destination, so God bless them. Thank God they were able to make it. But man, you talk about just a bundle of nerves. And then I'm looking in the studio. I'm counting like ceilings and tiles and vents and all kinds of stuff just to be able to stay awake all night and make sure they were fine. But thankfully, thank God they were able to make it. So that is one of those, Pete, that usually we hear the players saying, I just want to thank God for this and that. This is one of those true ones that thank God that they made it there.
I agree. I totally agree. Well, look, I mean, I don't. If you need to nap or go sleep, then you got to do what you got to do. I totally understand. Don't worry about it. I love having you here, but there's we got a lot. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of stuff that's happened since I got off the air yesterday. The Shane Waldron firing. You can say what you want about the Chicago Bears. We're going to get into all of that. I have a lot of theories about it, a lot to say about what is going on in Caleb Williams and his. He's just not very good right now, and a lot of this is on him, not so much the offense and the coaching of the offensive coordinator. I told you I never liked him at Eberflus from the beginning, but we'll get into all of that. The Bruins win last night. Celtics lose in the stupid NBA Cup. Which they don't care. And the only people that seem to care about this are the Lakers. Not that the Celtics shouldn't have won that game. They're up by 15. Last time they were up by 15 or 16 or favored by the closing line by 15 or 16 was also Atlanta last year. The Celtics were ahead by 30 and lost that one too. They still won the World Championship. But nevertheless, there's something about the Atlanta Hawks against the Celtics. They seemed to be hitting everything last night. The Celtics had the lead with 46 seconds to go, and they just gave it up. Horrible defense down the stretch. Some people calling it sleepwalking. That's kind of being kind defensively. Tatum didn't have a great game, but it shouldn't matter. Trae Young didn't play for the Hawks. Celtics should have won that game, but neither here nor there. Joel Embiid played last night. We'll get to that.
Well, whoop-de-doo. That's one that I didn't care to miss.
They lost to the Knicks, unfortunately. They lost to the Knicks. But big story, college football playoff rankings came out again last night. And I will try to explain it to you, my Ricky Ricardo. I try to explain it to you as best I can, the difference between rankings and seedings. Because even I was a tad confused last night as well. Me. But I'll try to explain it the best I can. And it's going to change again next week. But I'll tell you why. I was even surprised that Miami was back in the 4th seed as they were last week, even though they lost to Georgia Tech. Georgia would be out of the playoff picture right now. Georgia would be out of the playoff picture right now. We'll get to what could be if the college football playoffs started today. And crazy things like that, why Georgia and SMU would be out, even though SMU right now technically a half game ahead of Miami in the ACC at 5-0, Miami 5-1. I will try to explain it to everybody why the rankings are different from the college football. The college football playoff rankings are different from the actual seedings. I'll try to explain it as best I can. Either way, it's very subjective, and you can tell the committee is very subjective. But we'll get into all of that as well. Jerry Jones responding on 105.3 The Fan about Micah Parsons yesterday. We have all those wonderful cuts and maybe a video or two that happened on TNT last night, as always. Some good basketball last night, and in college basketball as well. And Mike Petraglia and my friend Johnny P. And Angels, somewhat Villanova Wildcats lose. Not only did they lose, Angel, guess who they lost to?
Is it? I don't think it was in a conference.
A Big Five school.
LaSalle?
No, close.
Temple?
No, close.
Damn it. Let's see. LaSalle, Temple.
They don't like you saying "damn it" at this school.
Is that University of Penn?
No, they swear at Pennsylvania. Ivy League schools swear.
Yeah, they do. Craps. It's
You're missing one. You're almost there.
What's my other one up the road?
St. Joe's.
Yes, damn it. I knew that.
Hey, damn it.
And to think about the other two, LaSalle and St. Joe's. God damn it.
Drexel doesn't count.
Sure doesn't.
Oh, those were the days of the Palestra, right? But Villanova lost again to a powerful. Oh God, that's worse than losing to Columbia. Lose to St. Joe's. Anyway, not that St. Joe's isn't good, but geez. Anyway, so we got all that to talk about. NBA, NHL rundown, and a whole lot more. People will talk about Mike Norvell's. By the way, Mike Norvell's contract at Florida State runs through 2031, so he's not getting fired. He's not going anywhere. But we have a lot to talk about. I'm trying to think where we should begin. I want to begin with the college football rankings and the seedings. And like I said, we've got a lot to get to. Only one guest today. Bill Sparrow is going to join me from the Boston Herald and Bookies.com coming up at 8:30. We'll get more into what the Celtics and the Bruins did and did not do last night. Also, maybe get some clarity on whether Juan Soto is indeed in play for the Red Sox. I think it's absolute fantasy. I don't buy it for 1 second. I hope I'm dead wrong and they surprise me. I hope I'm dead wrong and they surprise me. But we'll get his thoughts. And the Patriots coming up, another big game against the Rams this week. Big game. Rams are 5-point favorites on the road against the Patriots in Foxborough. But there's a lot going on. First of all, let me get to the NCAA selection committee. I did want to play this video, Angel. I might have to have you do some work here. If you go to the NCAA homepage or the NCAA football homepage, oh God,
on ESPN.
Yep, and click on that video. It's going to be a commercial, but it's best explained this way on video, and the actual seedings, how they came out last night as
top
well.
four.
You see it?
Yeah, they are the
Oregon,
top
Ohio
four.
State, Texas, Penn State atop the CFP rankings. And we'll get into what is different about the rankings as opposed to the seedings, because there's a pretty big difference here. And it is amazing. First teams in, first teams out, all of that stuff. And I think that you'll find this absolutely fascinating. Some people are outraged by it. I mean, look, it's always going to be this way. It's going to change again. It's going to change a couple more times, more than likely, over the next couple of weeks. There's some huge matchups this week that are, Georgia, Tennessee, and some other ones that are going to have a significant impact. Okay, so here's how it took place last night. By the way, you had to be watching college basketball because they did a condensed version of this. They crammed it all in about 10 minutes in between the basketball games of Michigan State and Kansas, and then Kentucky, who also won in an upset last night as well. So in case you missed it or couldn't find it, this is what happened. Here's how it went down last night. College football playoff rankings, week 2.
Indiana would be the 5th-ranked team. They would get, how about if the Crimson Tide had to go into Bloomington, a stadium about half the size of Bryant-Denny?
Just a little less disrespect this week. I like the committee moving Indiana up. I get it. It was a close game against Michigan, but guess what? We can't always score 40 points. The defense is going to have to help us out. The defense showed up. The defense dominated in the second half. And if you're Indiana, you got a week off. And then the biggest game of maybe in the Indiana Hoosier history at the Horseshoe against the Buckeyes. But this still tells me, Reese, Penn State, who has lost the game, is in front of Indiana. That's what a little bit of disrespect comes from.
You're going to have a bunch of Big Ten coming in here, too. And how about this? Who else gets to say that their key wins are Nebraska and Michigan?
And Michigan, for what reason? Michigan's 5-5.
Well, because it's the best they've got so far. Penn State number 4, so Penn State would have a home game against Ole Miss. They just saw each other recently in
Penn
the bowl
State
game.
sitting back like, thank
Didn't
you.
go well.
Penn State is literally sitting there saying our best win is Illinois, and we're clean. We have nothing. We lost Ohio State at home. Doesn't matter. We're okay. You guys go ahead and play this out. Let's win our next 2 games to get in.
Number 3. Texas, highest ranked SEC team. The Longhorns would project as the 2 seed. What's Texas' best win?
Vandy.
Vanderbilt?
Yeah,
I mean,
Vandy.
Some resume.
Hey, exactly. Texas and Penn State being lifted up based on, what they've done in the eye test. I get that. Look, I watch Texas just like the rest of us, just like the committee members. There's 7 or 8 people on the committee that either played college football or coached college football, so they're watching the players, and I don't blame them for being super impressed. The problem is the resume doesn't support a top 3 ranking. They are up there on eye test and ceiling, and until we see it all put together, it's tough for me to get totally on board with them being up there right now.
And by the way, that's not inappropriate. The first line for the committee's charge, best team.
Yeah.
And if they think Texas is
So
best,
subjective.
based on football judgment, that's why we brought in the committee. You guys didn't like all that BCS computer stuff. That's completely objective. You guys didn't like that.
Texas did beat Michigan soundly at Michigan, the same team that Indiana struggled with. Here we go.
Ohio State, ranked
They won.
2nd, would be seeded 5th because obviously the Big Ten champion, the highest ranked team, would project to be Oregon, who beat Ohio State by 1. Look at all of the Big Ten in the top 5. B1G with 4 of the top 5 spots as we take a look at our Capital One rewarding performance. Big Ten dominating this week's ranking for the top 5. That's the most by any conference in the top 5 in a single college football rankings. The SEC with 4 of its own, all in the top 11. Miami in the ACC. Canes joined by BYU, Boise State, and Notre Dame.
Okay, now you might be thinking, and I was thinking the same thing, is, initially I thought that the way the rankings were going to be, as opposed to the seeding, but the seedings were going to be based on if you're ahead in your conference. Like, I really thought that SMU would be the 4th seed. Not only are they not the 4th seed, they'd be one of the last teams out. They wouldn't even be in the playoffs if it started today, which is unbelievable. They're 5-0. Miami's 5-1. Even Clemson is 6-1. And Clemson, by the way, we'll get to the rankings. But that was a little bit of confusion, which tells me there is some subjectivity going on here with the committees. You don't necessarily, they're looking at Miami as the best team in the ACC. Otherwise, they dropped the ranking, dropped them to 9th, which they would still technically qualify in the top 12. But it doesn't matter the college football rankings. What matters is the seedings. And we'll get to the potential matchups in a second here. But this is what I'm going to go through the rankings. Let me start down at 25. These are the college football playoff rankings, okay? So Tulane is in there at 25. Army is undefeated at 9-0. There's still a chance that they could do something and get into it if some of the other teams lose. Missouri is at 22. LSU at 23. Missouri 23. LSU 22. 21 is South Carolina. 20 is Clemson. 20 is Clemson right now at 7-2. Louisville is 19. Washington State is 18. Colorado is 17, and they can control their own destiny. If they win out, including winning the Big 12 championship, incredibly, they will be in the college football playoff, and I'll be eating crow for the next 5 years. And but still a long way to go. We'll see. Kansas State is 16. Texas A&M is 15. SMU, which leads the ACC, in the rankings, they're 14th. And we'll get to where they are in the college football playoff seeding. I think they're one of the first teams out, Georgia and SMU. Number 13 is Boise State. Number 12 is Georgia. Again, these are the rankings, not the seedings. 12 is Georgia. 11 is Ole Miss. 10 is Alabama. 9 is the U, Miami. 8 is Notre Dame. Tennessee is 7. BYU 6. Indiana is 5. Penn State 4. Texas 3. Ohio State 2. And Oregon 1. So, take from that what you will. The Hoosiers were not the greatest schedule, but yet they continue to win 10-0. I mean, part of me loves the fact that it's an imperfect system. But I wish to God I could be a fly on the wall. And somebody brought this up on social media. Why aren't these college football playoff committees? I want to see it. I'd love to see a debate. Like if they do all this other stuff, Manning Cast and all this stuff. Why not have on ESPNU or something what's going on so we can actually hear the debate between certain ADs, former coaches, presidents and all that stuff. I want to hear how some of this becomes so subjective because it's very confusing. As much as I love the fact that my boys at Miami are at number 4, it's still very confusing for a lot of people when you have SMU technically ahead of them today and Clemson for that matter in the ACC. They're technically half a game better. But Miami still subjectively gets the nod at number 4. So, I mean, I'm happy about it. It's in their favor, but I didn't expect it. I really thought SMU was supposed to be the number 4 seed. Instead, we get to the rank, the matchups, what they would be if the college football playoff started today. First of all, the first team out would be Georgia. Wow, mind blown. But not totally unexpected. I'm sure there are some. I know a lot of people would be outraged by that. For now, that can change. If they beat Tennessee, it's an elimination game for them coming up this week against Tennessee. They lose that game, 3 losses. They're not getting in. And the second team out right now would be SMU, the ACC leader at the moment. They wouldn't even be in it. So if the playoffs started today, here's what it would look like. The 4 byes would be Oregon would be the number 1. Texas would be the number 2, even though Georgia whipped them in Texas. BYU would be 3, and Miami would be number 4. So here's the way the matchups would go. The 12-5 matchup with the winner playing at Miami, at Hard Rock. Number 12 seed would be Boise State, they're 8-1, and Ohio State at 8-1. If I'm a Miami fan right now, I would much rather play Ohio State than that running attack that Boise State has with Jeanty, that unbelievable kid who's in the Heisman Trophy race, because Miami has a much harder time stopping the run. But we're way far away from that. But that would be, the 12-5 matchup would be Boise State and Ohio State. The winner would take on Miami. The 8-9 matchup would be Notre Dame at Tennessee. at Tennessee, and the winner of that game would take on Oregon. Then Ole Miss at Penn State. Ole Miss at Penn State, the winner of that game. That's the 11-6 game. Ole Miss is 8-2, and they move up that huge win against Georgia, push them up. And Penn State, number 6 right now, at 8-1. And I would favor Ole Miss in that game. And Alabama would have to. How about Alabama at Indiana? Think about that. This is why I love the college football playoff, and I love the system that we're in here. And I can't wait till it expands to 16 teams. But let's have fun with 12 right now. Alabama at Indiana, which could be, mid-December, partial blizzard. And when's the last time Alabama played in the snow? Or any of these southern teams played in the snow, if possible, would be great. The winner of that game would move on to play Texas. So your potential Final Four matchups, if chalk plays out, would be the semifinals on New Year's Eve, would be BYU and Texas. That would be the 2-3 matchup, and the 1-4 matchup would be Miami and Oregon, if it all plays out chalk-wise. But we're you're talking about Boise State, Ohio State could face Miami, a potential Tennessee-Oregon matchup, even Notre Dame, Oregon matchup. Ole Miss, I think, would beat Penn State, and they would be at BYU, which that would be something as well. Talk about potential blizzards in Provo. And then Alabama or Indiana playing at Texas. Wow. An Indiana-Alabama playoff game. I never, ever in my life thought I would hear those words, but I find it fascinating. It's not a perfect system. My friend Denny DeJesus, who is, and he does pronounce it DeJesus, not DeJesus, even though my junior year high school teacher, who was down here part-time as a snowbird in Naples, he said, and makes a good point, what I would give to finally see Alabama and Ole Miss play a game in the cold weather. My biggest complaint about SEC teams, they never leave the South, or if they do, it's early in the season. Let them try a game or two when it's 30 degrees and wind becomes a factor, real football. No, I agree. I think that's the beauty of this, and the fact that, look, late December games, we're talking about even in the quarterfinal matchup. I'm talking about Oregon and BYU, potential blizzards, which I love, or really bad weather. So you're talking about teams like Notre Dame or Tennessee. Notre Dame's playing bad weather before. Tennessee, not a lot. But Tennessee and Oregon in a blizzard, or Mississippi, Lane Kiffin in the snow at BYU and Provo. How much fun would that be? And not that it's going to snow a lot in Texas, but Alabama or Indiana at Texas could be unbelievable. And then early on, Boise State, Ohio State, you never know in the Midwest what kind of bad weather there. Of course, Boise State is used to playing in the snow as well. What does this pop up? Get out of here. Anyway, Angel, so fascinating stuff. And again, don't feel free to, if you're ready, if your eyes are closing and you're ready to go.
It is fascinating though, the college, the rankings, the way it was explained, it was different. I don't think I've ever heard it explained that way.
They don't even know. Even the guys on ESPN last night, even they are a little confused as to what's. Just like I said, I thought that the leaders of the Power Fours, because there's no Pac-12 in here, I thought the leaders of the Power Fours were automatically going to be the top 4 seeds. I thought that was the deal, but apparently not. There's some subjectivity here, which is what's causing a lot of some controversy. I mean, you knew this was going to happen. I think the biggest one that confuses what I said, Miami being in there at number 4, which I'm happy about, tells me the committee knows what's going on. And you got to wonder if Cam Ward was not having the season that he's having, would they be number 4 right now? But they are. But the fact that Georgia and SMU would not be in the playoffs right now is mind-blowing, considering Georgia won that huge game at Texas. And you can make a lot of, case that Indiana is in and their best wins against Michigan and Nebraska and the 103rd worst schedule. Look, it's imperfect. We knew it would be imperfect, just like March Madness is not a perfect system. But this is great. And it gets you talking about college football every single day. It really does. So I'd love to hear people's thoughts on it as well. I do want to say Where is it? This is interesting. Chris Childress on Sirius XM College Sports Radio. He talks about the college football playoff and Alabama here.
If you are one of those people that just wanted Alabama to go away, you were so hopeful. Saban's gone. They're going to revert backward. They're going to fall on their face. Did you watch the Tennessee game? Did you watch the Vanderbilt game? They're not as good. They're not going to get to the playoff. They can't go to Death Valley and win. Well, guess what? They not only won, they won very bigly. 42-13. Mercer is up next. That is a layup. Then at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's 1-5 in the SEC. Then they play 1-5 in the league, Auburn, in the Iron Bowl. They just punched their ticket to the playoff. That's what they did on Saturday night. It might be unsavory to some. It might piss some off. But Rick, Alabama not going anywhere.
Now, I agree with about 99.9% of that. However, there is always that residue of hope. When you play in the Iron Bowl game, all bets are off. I've seen it too many times. Even last year, the year before, Auburn has given Alabama a game that is, you throw everything out the window and you hope for the best. And Hugh Freeze is having a shitty season with the Auburn Tigers. They have way underachieved in a lot of people's opinion, including mine. I'm very disappointed in him. And he's going to be on the hot seat as well. However, when you play that game, that is not a guarantee for Alabama. And any Alabama fan will probably, is even the most biggest fan in the world, fanboy, fangirl in the world, will tell you that game probably scares them more than anything. Even throughout the rest of the SEC schedule is playing that game. And because you flip a coin. You never know in that game who's going to win the Iron Bowl. No one will ever forget Chris Davis. No one will ever forget, even a couple of years ago. I mean, it's usually a very close game, so we will see. But the big games this week, in the Big Ten, Ohio State is a 28.5 point favorite at Northwestern.
Holy moly's.
Yeah. They've been blowing people out, so we'll see. I don't know if they're going to win by 28.5 in Northwestern, but, I'm assuming they're going to win. Texas is at Arkansas. Texas favored by almost 2 touchdowns, 13.5 in that one. A game they cannot take for granted. They should win it, but Arkansas, it's not. They're 5-4. They're 3-3 in the SEC. They're not a pushover. These are all. Let's see. These are all noontime games. Also, Utah is at number 12, Colorado. Utah banged up, just lost a heartbreaker. And not because of the officials, at home against BYU the other night, 23-22, I believe it was the final score. They blamed the officials at the end. What they did not do was praise the officials for the first touchdown Utah got, which was a clear holding call, face mask call on them, and they got away with it. Then their AD made a fool out of himself, but took the podium and said how much the game was stolen. He wants an investigation, and the Big 12, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Big game for Clemson coming up. They're at Pittsburgh. Even though they're ranked 20th, they're still up there in the ACC. Chance to get to the ACC championship game. But this is, and Pittsburgh is in this too. Both teams are 7-2. Clemson is 6-1 in the ACC. Pittsburgh is 3-2. Huge game. Clemson is favored in this one on the road by 10. And the Panthers have really shot themselves in the foot lately. These are still all noontime games. Tulane is at Navy, 25th rank. Green Wave is at Navy. 2 o'clock, Mercer's at Alabama. Who cares? Alabama will win by, 80,000 points. At 3:30, Penn State goes to Purdue. Purdue has been terrible this year. The Nittany Lions are favored on the road by 28.5 points in that one. They should win that game. That would be probably the biggest upset in college football all year if Purdue ever won that one. Virginia's at Notre Dame. Virginia is not a pushover either, but Notre Dame's playing really good football lately. They are favored by 23 in that one. Then Boston College is at SMU. This is a huge game for both teams. Grayson Jones is going to be starting for the Eagles as Castellanos got benched. He got hurt last week in the Syracuse game. We'll talk to our friend John Meter-Perel tomorrow. And the backup quarterback came in and did pretty well, Jones, and he's going to start. Castellanos has been benched. And Castellanos did a little sulky poo-poo. And, no one puts Castellanos in the corner, so he took a couple of days off to get his head straight, which I think is bullshit. Sorry. And he left the game because of an injury. And now, the backup was Grayson Jones, I believe, came in and did great. And led BC to a win over Syracuse. So we'll see what happens. That's a huge game. SMU at home. They're 8-1 and 5-0 in the ACC. They're favored by 17.5. Also at 3:30 on the ACC network. Louisville, they'll try to keep their ACC championship hopes alive to get there. They are 4-2 in the ACC, 6-3 overall. They're at Stanford. They should win that game. LSU is at the Swamp in Florida. I don't know what the hell to expect from this game. Brian Kelly, they just got blasted at home by Alabama on the weekend. Really, really surprising how bad that was. Kelly and the Tigers were 15-0 going into that game at night. Really screwed up my bet. Now everybody gets the next 2 years for free. Really screwed that up. But you don't know what's going on with the Gators. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them. Swamp is usually a tough place to play. We know that. Florida's been playing a little bit better lately. I don't know what to expect out of LSU. Missouri just beat Oklahoma, a sad Oklahoma team. They're at South Carolina at 4:15 on the SEC network. Boise State, a huge game at San Jose State. Upset alert here. Be very, very careful. San Jose State, not a bad team. 6-3 and 3-2 in the mighty Mountain West. Boise State favored by 13.5 in this one. They are absolutely playing some really good, solid football. Genty, as everybody knows, is an unbelievable running back, the best in the country. 1,744 yards, I believe, and 20, how many touchdowns? 28? What's he got this year? He has got, he's got a lot. Receiving, he's got 1 touchdown. Rushing, he's got 24 total touchdowns from him, 24. And he has, unbelievable, he has rushed for 1,734 yards. He's averaging 7.7 yards a carry. His long of the year is 77, averaging 7.7 yards a carry. That is a team that nobody is going to want to play come college football play time, if they can sustain it. Arizona State's at Kansas State, another big, these are all the top 25 matchups. Oregon is at Wisconsin. Can the Badgers come up with would be a major, major upset at home? That game is at night at 7:30 at Camp Randall Stadium. Place should be rocking. Oregon has been playing very well. Gabriel has been awesome this year with 22 touchdowns and how many receptions? He's got 22 touchdowns this year and only 5 interceptions. So he is playing very well. Obviously, he's going to be a Heisman candidate also for the Ducks. And we'll see what happens with Wisconsin with them. That's going to be that. I'm looking forward to that game. Oregon is favored by 2 touchdowns on the road at Wisconsin. Big game of the night on ABC is number 7 Tennessee at number 12 Georgia. The Bulldogs are favored by 10 here. It's an elimination game, not for Tennessee, but it is for Georgia. They need to win this and get back in the college football playoff top 12 rankings. I think they will win it. My picks will come up on Friday. Texas A&M is home to New Mexico State. They should clobber them. They're favored by 39 at home. Washington State is at New Mexico. And Kansas is at BYU. Another very interesting game here. Kansas has they've had at least one upset this year, even though they're 3-6, 2-4 in the Big 12. BYU has got to. What does it say that BYU ranks 6th in the playoff rankings right now, undefeated, 9-0 and 6-0 in the Big 12. Kansas is 6-3 and 2-4. Why is BYU only favored by 3 at home against a team that's 3 games under 500? Why is that? Why is that? Kansas has upset Iowa State. 45-36. That has happened. They also won against Houston at home. And they played K-State very tough. They only lost by 2. They played Arizona State very tough, only lost by 4. And they lost by 11 to TCU. BYU, their last few games, beaten Utah last week, like I said, 22-21. Won a nice game at UCF, 37-24, home against Oklahoma State. Squeaked out a win over Mike Gundy's Cowboys, and they're struggling. Arizona 41-19 and Baylor 34-28. So what does it say that the Cougars only favored by 3 at home against the 3-6 team? We'll see. All right, my friend. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get to the NFL. We're going to get to Jerry Jones' response about Micah Parsons' response to Mike McCarthy's response. So a lot of responding going on in Dallas. And I don't mean first responders, but a lot of responding going on in Dallas. And also we'll get and break down everything that happened with the Chicago Bears and Shane Waldron and the offense and Caleb Williams, who has, I believe, here's a stat for you. 27 of his 38 sacks this year have come when he has had at least 4 seconds to throw the ball. Is that really on the offensive coordinator? That's on the quarterback, a lot of that. I'm not saying the OC and the coach aren't responsible for a lot of it, because I think they are. But Caleb Williams has underachieved so far this year. It's what I thought was going to happen. I was never sold on the Chicago Bears, despite the talent on paper on the field. The people that tried to stick them ahead of the Lions and even the Vikings. I can understand the Vikings a tad beginning of the season, because we didn't know what they had in Sam Darnold after losing J.J. McCarthy to the season-ending injury. But nevertheless, overhyped Chicago Bears, big time. But we'll get to all the sound from them, some TNT stuff, and a whole lot more. Pete Sheppard Show continues here on a Hump Day, Wednesday, November 13th on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our 2nd location. It's on 41, just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak from Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it Gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up on Saturday, November 30th. It's Willie O'Ree, yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public, $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him in the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
With 28. He gets the ball out top. Holiday bumps Daniels, who spins into the lane. Can't score. Tap in is good. It's Okongwu. Hawks have the lead with 6.1 left.
God damn it. Unbelievable. I hate the cup. Nobody cares. No excuse for the Celtics last night, sleepwalking through that game. Just ridiculous. They had the lead up by 15 in the second half. Had the lead in the last 46 seconds. pissed that game away. I mean, I don't know what it is about the Atlanta Hawks. As I said, last year they were down by 30 to the Celtics, and they came back and won. Welcome back to the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Celtics give it up in the end, lose 117 to 116. As you heard right there, go away, tipped in, he missed shot with 6.1 seconds to go. The Celtics had a chance. The initial pass in bounds was a Holiday to Tatum, went out of bounds, and then Jaylen Brown forced a turnover at half court with 4.6 seconds to go. They had a chance. Jaylen was playing really well, made almost everything except for the last shot last night. Would have been the game winner. But Dyson Daniels scored a career-high 28 points. Jalen Johnson had 18 and 13 and 10, triple-double. And the Hawks snapped their two-game losing streak. They didn't play without Trae Young, which makes it even more ridiculous that the Celtics lost this game. Look, I said they're going to lose some games this year. They've lost 2 at home now. And by the way, another stupid thing by this cup stuff is the floors in the NBA.
Yep.
It's bad enough to look at the Celtics green. You cannot tell me it doesn't fuck with depth perception, because I can tell you it does, especially early on. But what, I mean, that ridiculous green that's out there, you really have to wear sunglasses. But then, because I have the package, but it was also on TNT last night, Philadelphia hosting the Knicks. And I thought I was watching Boise State. It looked like the 76ers on their home floor at Angel were playing on Boise State's on the Smurf turf against San Jose State. It was unbelievable. It's tough to watch. These courts are horrible looking. They're terrible. And it's tough to watch on TV.
I hated it last year when he did it, and the amount of money that these teams have to spend, because it's 2 different floors. So the amount of money they have to spend just for this.
Doesn't the NBA pay for that? I thought the NBA paid for that.
No.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
Yippers. That is the team involved costs. And that's stupid nonsense. And I agree. I hate it. First of all, I hate the whole entire thing in the first place, because that thing is just absolutely dumb. I can't stand it. Leave the NCAA, the tournaments that start off in the beginning of the season. I absolutely love that. That's the way it's been for many, many years. We're all used to it. And the NBA, because we all know in the very end, the Lakers are going to win it again.
In the tournament, except to put NCAA logo on it. They don't make it all green and blue and gold, whatever it is.
They don't
do that. I mean, it's a regular floor. And I'm telling you, I'd have to go out and shoot 2 hours before, because it just messes with my rods and cones, Jerry, as Kramer said. I mean, they're all messed up. It's like the Kenny Rogers chicken stand in the Seinfeld episode with the red beam coming through. I mean, I swear to God, you got to wear sunglasses watching some of these games. I used to say it all the time about the Ducks in Oregon, particularly in basketball. When Oregon and Baylor wear those, magic marker highlighter type uniforms.
Yep.
I am not kidding you. There was a couple times a few years ago, I had watching on big screen TV like a lot of us. I had to wear sunglasses. I couldn't take it. I could not. I'm squinting. I was like, I can't. I need sunglasses to watch some of these games. I mean, the Smurf turf in Philadelphia is hideous. The green stuff in Boston, not quite as hideous, but still hideous. But man, if you try to watch the 76ers game last night and on a Smurf turf, that's a tough take.
It is. I mean, these NBA players, I don't know. Again, it's the NBA just doing stupid stuff as usual, but I can't. I can't wait till it just fails. And then what makes it even worse, now NASCAR is going to do the same thing come next year, which I think is just another disaster.
Hold the phone. What does that mean? NASCAR, what are they going to have? A little tournament, like a round robin type of tournament like this?
Yepper.
Involving certain racers? Like we're going to have like 4 or 5 people at a time racing? Or you're going to have, is everybody going to be involved? And what the hell? Explain this to me, Ricky.
I'm trying to, and I got to get my Rocky Fuel here in a second, but so they're trying this dumb thing where it's going to be almost like, so NASCAR at the very end, you have the 4-man who end up going to the playoffs as going to Phoenix. Obviously, the championship weekend just happened this past week.
When you talk about NASCAR to me and say the word obvious, I need full explanation. I have no idea.
All right. So it's supposed to be either between 10 to possibly 15 guys it'll be like almost a 10-car race. I think the only
like picking a kickball team in 6th grade.
Pretty much. And yeah, pretty much.
That analogy work for you?
Exactly. No, but they're gonna. It's bizarre the way they're gonna do it. So it's not kind of like the way the NBA or it's happening. It's almost like their playoff series the way they have it. But instead of waiting to the very end for the anticlimactic thing to happen, it's going to be during the season. NASCAR has tried to find a way to discontinue and continue to disconnect with the fan base. And they just make it worse and worse and worse.
Is it because they think this obviously they think it's going to generate money, that people are going to care about this, but it's really an exhibition, a NASCAR exhibition type thing. Does it count in the regular? Does it count like the NBA, this cup thing? It does count in the regular season standings. So are points going to be counted towards that crazy system that I don't know anything about? And as far as total at the end. So is this little in-tournament racing thing going to have any impact on the overall structure of NASCAR?
I believe early on they're saying no because it's going to be something new they're trying out so that the guys who are actually contenders as the season begins, that it won't ruin anything for them. But it's just one of those dumb things that's really not needed in NASCAR. Just like that whole freaking segment series. I hate the segments. Bring me back Winston Cup. Just bring it back. The way it was with Dale Earnhardt, with Jeff Gordon, with Cale Yarborough. Bring that back. This whole stuff where they stop. Oh, we're now coming up to lap 100. We're taking the first caution of the day. What? There's no wrecks, but we got to do it. It's just NASCAR really ruined the product. They were at such a peak that you had the brothers in the hood buying jackets.
I know. Even in New England, I mean, NASCAR was this higher rated thing. I mean, and people don't realize in certain parts of the country, particularly in the Northeast, they don't think it's big. It's big. It still gets ratings. I mean, I had to cover a couple of races in Loudon, New Hampshire, back at the smallest track on the NASCAR circuit that's still there. Those people line up a week in advance in the trailer parks.
Yep, they go out there. They go by numbers. And by the way, folks, this is one of those things where you have to explain, don't have to explain. For those of us who lived in the city and lived in urban areas, everybody knows exactly what you're talking about because in West Philly, you would never see a NASCAR jacket anywhere. But when it peaked, that popped, like Jeff Gordon's jacket was the biggest one in West Philly when it peaked. When NASCAR hit that stride, it was insane. And then Miller Lite was the next one because they like Miller Lite, and Rusty Wallace ended up being a big one is there. And then obviously for Dale Earnhardt. And then instead of NASCAR going, wow, this is great. Like we really hit every economic impact we possibly could. And nope, we're going to screw it up by throwing the segments and then just watch it nosedive.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, we can only, those were the days, the Winston Cup, when I would stay home on Saturdays and not watch it, not even know what it's on. But can't they get a different cigarette company? Winston was a cigarette company, right? They sponsored it, right? And
so Winston, what's the same company? Yeah, they
find another cigarette company to sponsor it, or is that you can't do that? It's not politically correct to have a tobacco company sponsor anything anymore.
No, not really. But NASCAR goes just for the bigger items, and then when the company itself was starting. When they started taking fire because everybody knows it causes cancer. But then when the whole movement started and this, that, and blah blah blah, then when they went to the Nextel, which then eventually became the Sprint Cup Series, then it went from all right, we're not dealing with that anymore. We're just going to go ahead and just go a whole different brand route. So
that's what I don't understand about the people sponsoring tobacco. I smoke an occasional cigar, a lot less than I used to. I love cigars, good cigars, particularly Rocky Patel, who I met and seen him do a demonstration. Pretty cool stuff. But there's some wonderful cigars out there. Why not? Why do some of these old or there's no cigarette companies sponsoring NASCAR anymore on the cars?
None.
Back in the day, why not have a good cigar? Why not have a Rocky Patel? Why not have Acid? Why not have a Padron? Well, I mean, I don't understand how cigars got vetted out of NASCAR for some reason. I don't get it.
Okay.
I don't understand it because that's big bucks. High-end cigars, you're talking people that spend a lot of money.
Well, that's because he clinched your cheek.
Why discriminate against cigar smokers in NASCAR? I mean, I'm offended by what used to be. Or was
because
not.
The Clinch Your Cheek Society decided to speak, and they said, no, you can't do that anymore. So, and you would think, because if anybody, like Michael Jordan's in the race because he has 2311 with Denny Hamlin, and he loves cigars. I mean, he gave Denny Hamlin He gave his dad, Denny Hamlin's dad, has a cigar in a case, and saying that when he finally wins one as a cup champion, end up breaking it out and smoke it together. And he loves, Michael Jordan absolutely loves cigars. And you would think like he would have, a major Monte Cristo or something else, NASCAR in their infamous way.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same way. Like you really don't see whiskey on the cars either, but you'll see the guys break out a Budweiser or something else at the end of the race. Like, so where's the hypocrisy in that? I guess they don't want to do things bigly. That's what it comes down to.
I mean, there are certain other liquors that are on NASCARs. One I'm definitely not going to talk about. But there are certain bourbons, vodkas, gins that I've seen.
Yeah.
And obviously soft drinks, that kind of thing.
It's just it was the rebranding and stuff. Like there's a lot of things that just didn't make sense once the new crew basically came in. It's like you guys ruined something that everybody, even if you didn't smoke, like they didn't have to influence you to go with Winston, or Newport, or Marlboro.
Yeah, I've never understood that in the advertising world, Angel, and someone's going to have to really explain it to me. Why? We grew up watching cartoons where anvils would fall on people's heads and we laugh about it.
Right.
Cartoon characters that smoked, NASCAR people, Virginia Slims, cigarettes sponsored women's tennis. I never felt compelled to go buy. First of all, except for my sponsors on this show, which are incredible. But as far as a cigarette or something like that, I never felt like, oh boy, my life is being corrupted. I can't believe that NASCAR and Winston cigarettes or Marlboro or Virginia Slims and women's tennis. Boy, geez, my mom should be smoking not Marlboro Lights anymore. She should go switch to. Like I never felt like people are compelled by that or by a particular athlete or a celebrity endorsing a product. I don't care if it's a Big Mac. I mean, did you ever feel compelled to go buy a product of any kind because of some celebrity? Thought it was a good idea. I never have. I might agree and say I would get the product myself.
Right.
But there isn't a commercial out there for the food or cigarettes. I'm not talking about our great sponsors that we have here on the show. But I'm talking about mostly food and items, vice items, as I like to call them, whether it's liquor or TV or felt compelled to do violence because of cartoons on TV. I mean, come on. We all saw a lot of that stuff, 5, 6, 7 years old. I never felt the need. The only dumb thing I ever wanted to do that I tried to do once was jump off a big rock with a Glad bag and hold it out and I could parachute. And that didn't work out very well.
No, but
that's the only. But I would never. I mean, Bugs Bunny would have anvils and shit fall on his head. The Wild E. Kelly, all these great stuff, all this adult humor, and all these cartoons that we saw growing up. Did you ever feel compelled to go out and do violence because you saw a cartoon on TV?
No, and none whatsoever, because it was the silliest thing. And even some of the cartoons even that smoked cigarettes and stuff, and you didn't see kids. Yeah, you didn't see kids going out there and putting cigarettes in their mouth. But I think the best thing would be if the Spanish version of NASCAR would end up joining the ranks of it, like it would be great. They had a car with from Goya and stuff, and because you got to think about it, they bring the car out, and you talk about branding. You would have Goya, and the guy would introduce, aquí estamos con Pete Sheppard en el carro 23, aquí con arroz y habichuelas. And people are like, what the hell's an arroz and habichuelas? What is he talking about? So it's just, you never go out there and look at it like Gatorade or anything else. I mean, even Michael Jordan screwed that up when he was doing a commercial for Gatorade initially. When they told him, Mike, all you have to say is Gatorade, is it in you? And Mike will come out and be like, Gatorade, is it in you? I mean, he kept screwing it up over and over again. And it was the funniest thing ever. He even talks about it to this day. But no one's ever compelled to buy something because someone comes on TV and says, this is the best product out there. You go ahead and buy it.
You got a lot of people and a lot of Karen parents out there that think this day and age, and maybe it's different because a lot of the kids today are so freaking immature. And, are the helicopter parents that are out there is insane nowadays. But, what was that first part you said in Spanish again with my name?
It's the car and then the car number.
Oh, say it again.
So, aquí estamos con Pete Sheppard en el Carros 23. Sponsor de hoy es Goya con arroz y habichuelas. Si quieres lo mejor en Goya, hagas tus arroz y habichuelas aquí con señor Pete Sheppard. Vámonos con la carretera. So,
Can you add this? Don't look at my bum.
Y no mires el fundillo del señor Pete Sheppard.
That is outstanding. That's outstanding. All right, quick break. When we come back, I promise we're going to get to what's going on in Chicago. Shane Waldron, offense coordinator, fired. Caleb Williams stinks. Jerry Jones and his controversial comments, I think, about responding to Micah Parsons, who was responding to Mike McCarthy. All of that stuff. Bill Sparrow's at the bottom of the hour here on the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Chicken and Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it Gardenia. It's pronounced Jardiniere.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up. On Saturday, November 30th, it's Willie O'Ree. Yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public, $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Hey, everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick, and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Pete Sheppard Show. It's fun for the whole family, if it's dysfunctional.
But this was the fear I had. In New York, it's a tough city to play, but this was the fear I had for Joel Embiid. You announced arrogantly, I'm not playing back-to-backs, honey. I'm not injured, but I'm sore. I come in when I want to come back. Now, when you say things like that, you're supposed to come back with extra energy. 0 for 3. I'd have been 0 for 15, but you know what y'all have said? Hey, Shaq's not playing well, but he's playing aggressive. So the plan that they're having, it's not working. And not only that, I say this respectfully, Joel Embiid will never win the championship until he gets his mind and his attitude right.
Lots of pressure on Joel Embiid, and was not a good season debut for him last night. First and foremost, it looked out of shape. His shot was off. There's no question about it. Finished with 13 points in 26 minutes, and Sixers fall to 2-8. He was 2 of 11, had only 3 rebounds. Paul George led the Sixers with 29 and 10. But Joel Embiid, the scary part about that is he just looked totally winded and out of shape. And the 76ers lose 2-8. And guess what, Angel? You guys get to host the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers tonight.
Yay!
As the Cup Series continues in the NBA. Anyway, welcome back to hour number 2 of the Pete Sheppard Show. That was a Shaq from last night, obviously, on TNT.
I hope they get blown out 128-8. It'd be great.
8?
Yep, that's it. Just 8.
A quarter.
That's it. Anybody wants to bet tonight? It's 135 plus. I'm going bigly today.
Penguin Days Eastern Beat is past the prime like Rodgers, and it'd be nice to see him healthy in a playoff series for once, maybe twice. But that's the problem. That is absolutely the problem.
Yep.
Another problem for the Dallas Cowboys is that they were, I don't know, they were bitching and moaning. It's their stadium about the sunlight that happened. CeeDee Lamb, I guess, dropped the ball and blamed the sun and the design of the stadium and all that. We'll get Jerry Jones, but Kellen Moore of the Philadelphia Eagles, the OC, talked about it too yesterday.
Did you guys identify the sunlight as an issue?
Yeah.
For Jalen, it was.
The sun?
The sunlight wasn't an issue.
Yeah, in general for everyone, yeah.
But, okay, so.
Yeah, for everyone. I mean, I've been there. I was there a long time, so.
Yeah.
When you were calling the plays in Dallas, during the game?
Yeah, the sun, obviously, like any stadiums, all have different circumstances. That one, obviously, the sun plays a decent role. And so you just have to call plays according to it, knowing, certain parts of the field at times can be a little bit challenging. And so we had it in the first quarter, towards the end of the first quarter in the red zone. And then second quarter, obviously, we were going the other way.
All right, now Jerry Jones yesterday, among other things, we'll get to on this weekly visit on the Cowboys on 105.3. I think this was, or either on the Cowboys webpage. He talked about the sunlight at AT&T Stadium.
Is the sunlight coming through the stadium? That was a big topic after the game. CeeDee Lamb believed he missed out on a touchdown on Sunday because, in fact, his exact quote afterwards was, yes, 1,000% when asked if he'd be in favor of curtains being installed. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I would say that this falls in that category we were just talking about. There's a lot to talk about. I don't believe anybody living believes that that game, what we need to work on. And that's what I meant being incredulous when somebody asked me about that. Of all of the things that we all need to improve, that is way down the list of improvement.
I agree with that.
All I can say is that stadium was built to feel like it's outdoors when you're indoors. And it was built to have sunlight coming in every way that you could put it out there as though it were open air.
Oh, boy.
Yet still being inside. It's the largest air-conditioned space in the world.
Wonderful.
What? Stadium. It has over 3 million cubic feet of air-conditioned space.
The history of my air conditioning.
It was don't have it not look like it's outdoors. Make it look like it's outdoors. And so all of the things that are a part of that out there is a concept as though you were sitting out there with no roof, no doors, no anything. And you're playing in the elements.
Do you believe this?
Every venue has certain things that at certain ways and times in the contest can create an advantage. That really goes under the category of home field advantage. And so usually...
Cubic centimeters of the air conditioning? Got it.
That if there's a field, or in the case it's your home field, which it is of the Dallas Cowboys, it should be an advantage to the home team. So I don't want to adjust it for one reason is because it is an advantage to us. Over the years, we've played 52 games that have anything to do with the time of year when that sun could be there, obviously eliminating night games and games where the sun is not, wouldn't be involved. But we've had 52 games. We've won the majority of it. But more important than anything, we know where, in basketball, we know where the dead spots are on the floor. That's our advantage. That should be our advantage. We get to play there more, and we get to have it as advantage. It has been an advantage for us to know where the sun is. I don't want to change that.
Now,
related to Biden? Holy crap. It's truly nonsense.
There's more going on here. He talks about the team's game plans for sunlight each week.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely understand the aesthetic appeal of it. It does look like an outdoor stadium. But is this something that you think you have failed to capitalize on with a game plan? Do you need to game plan for this each and every week?
Well, we do. We basically do. We get a big time reports where that sun is going to be during the course of a game. Kellen Moore knew about it. He spent, I'm sure he spent a lot of time, their coordinator who used to be here, I'm sure he spent a lot of time planning and thinking about where the sun was going to be. You should. And I've seen balls caught with the receiver looking back into the sun out there. I've seen balls dropped. I saw Jason Witten drop a ball. But I've sure seen a lot of opposing teams drop some balls too. And so it's a part of it. One of the things that I'm emphasizing here is that we know that whether it's snow, rain, sleet, mud, We know that elements play a part of football. You play the game in the elements as long as it's safe for everybody concerned. And so you play it in the elements. This is our stadium's way of having elements. And we should play to that when it's appropriate. And we should win out because it is our home field. It's where an advantage. Our Texas Stadium used to have the field went lower on the outside near the boundaries, and in the end zones, it had a drop-off. There was 18-inch difference from the
I don't think these guys
of the field
expected
to
a
the
10-minute
outside
answer.
of the field.
No.
Well, we got to where our players and quarterbacks and receivers knew that 18-inch drop-off was there, so you threw the ball accordingly, ran the route accordingly. Distant teams, forget about it, weren't used to adjusting on it, and we made that an advantage. It's so common in sports to have an advantage with your field or have an element of your field that can be a disadvantage, but because you're familiar with it, you have an advantage. I don't want to change that.
Holy crap, there's a
Remember in, I'm going to go geek out on you now. Do you remember in Star Wars in Return of the Jedi when 3PO first meets Jabba the Hutt and he goes, oh, well, Master needs a protocol droid. And he's like, how many languages do you speak? He says, do you speak foreign languages? He's like, I am fluent in over 600,000. And the droid goes, yes or no will do. Yeah, that's what I feel like. Jerry Jones, he's pedantic blathering, yes or no will do.
That's what somebody should have told him. Holy craps, man. All right, so a big deal. And then I think Kellen Moore how the hell did you not, you're supposed to know everything about the Cowboys. So how the hell did you not know if Kellen Moore, decided to go, you can't practice. I don't care whatever you say. You can't practice when the sun hits a certain way anywhere.
Well, they don't practice there anyway. They practice at the facility. They don't practice in that. I don't believe they do unless something crazy happens to their practice facility. They don't practice there anyway. Look, you're right about one thing. The sun is the least of their problems. My God.
Exactly.
All right, here's Jerry Jones more on 105.3 The Fan yesterday's weekly interview on Micah Parsons' comments on Mike McCarthy. Here's another doozy.
Did you have a problem with Micah Parsons' comments regarding Mike McCarthy after the game saying, paraphrasing, Mike can leave when he does leave. He can go coach wherever he wants to. He's really playing for guys like Zach who have put more work in than Mike McCarthy has. Did you have a problem with those comments?
I'm not a good evaluator here for you. You say, well, do you personally have a problem? Do you think, and I'm smiling a little bit if we can this morning, do you think I've ever had anything interpreted in a way that I probably said it that way, that 99% of the people would interpret it, but it's a whoops, and I didn't mean it to sound that way.
Whoops.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy. I've had that happen a lot, as you well know. And so I know those kinds of things happen. I know that his deference, and I'm serious about this is a fact. It was not meant, no matter how it sounded, it was not meant as a critique of the coaches or the coach. It was meant as a concern for the veteran players, such as Zach Martin, that might not have that much more in their career left. And it meant as a concern to them because they don't have the length of time to right the ship as much as a player like Micah or the younger players. That's how it was meant. There's no doubt in my mind it was meant that way. There's no game. Mike does not feel, and Micah does not feel a lack of appreciation for, of all people, our head coach, Mike. Micah does. Getting my Micahs and Micahs messed up. But that's just not the case. I can tell you for a fact that is not the case. And I visited extensively with everybody involved here. That is not the case.
We played his comments
yesterday. It was an expression of being more concerned about a teammate. Players in there. And it's really informing to know that they have sensitivity about guys that are at the end of their careers. And, of course, Zach Martin has been an influence on that team out there to a large degree. And he would, and a young player like Micah, Zach Martin would have statue of coaching caliber. So he was a concern for him. But believe you me, he does understand completely and is sensitive about the fact that the coaches are having to deal with what they're wearing.
All right, Cooper Rush is still in starting over Trey Lance, but Jerry Jones also talked about, which he would not confirm the other day, but finally does, that Dak Prescott will have season-ending surgery today.
Has there been a determination made on Dak having surgery?
Tomorrow.
A decision tomorrow?
And he'll have it there in New York. We had a good visit last night, and he wants to do that there, and he's got great medical doctors up there. It's a more common injury in hockey, and he's got doctors that are very familiar with how to repair that, and his prognosis is wonderful. It just means that we're not going to have him the rest of the year.
Gee, something we've always talked about. And then you had that guy, John Jones, last week on that Dallas Cowboy thing, on that local show that he does. First, just ripping Dak Prescott because he thought he was quitting on the team. Used that word. Tried to come back the next day and said he wasn't quitting when he found out how serious the hamstring injury was. It wasn't just your typical hamstring injury. It pulled away from the bone and all that stuff. Very irresponsible on Mr. Jones' part. Not Jerry Jones, the other Jones. And he's eating a whole ton of crow. Let's see. Let's get to, before we go to break and have Bill Sparrows come on from the Boston Herald and bookies.com. Big news yesterday, right after I got off the air, as usual. Bears, they fired offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. Again, the stat of the day, 28 out of the 35 sacks that Caleb Williams has undergone this year. 9 of them came against the Patriots, by the way. 9 sacks the Patriots had against them. Out of I think 25 out of the 38 sacks, he's had at least 4 seconds to throw the ball. That's a Caleb Williams problem on the whole. That is not as much as a coaching problem. It is a Caleb Williams problem. But let's just go down a whole bunch of opinions on all of this. On Around the Horn yesterday, Courtney Cronin, you see her on ESPN. She used to be an attorney. Her husband got fired they used to do a show together on weekends, but they canned him and kept her. But she covers the Bears for ESPN. She talked about the firing of Shane Waldron.
Tony, the reason that this had to happen is because Caleb Williams' regression over the last 3 games clearly spelled the end of Shane Waldron's tenure in Chicago. And there have been a lot of frustrations expressed by players. We've heard it for weeks since the Hail Mary game. And then beyond that, when the offense couldn't get anything going in Arizona, and then what happened this past weekend against the New England Patriots. This is an offense that is underperforming, is underutilizing its top skill players, and is one of the least efficient in the NFL. Like DJ Moore, week 5, 2 touchdowns, haven't seen him since. Same thing with Keenan Allen. After week 6, Cole Kmet and Caleb Williams have the highest completion percentage between them for a quarterback tight end combination with at least 25 targets, and Cole is not being utilized in this offense. Like, very clearly, people inside Hallis Hall, from the coaching staff to the players, are frustrated with the way that things are going offensively. But this isn't just a Shane Waldron problem or an offensive problem that's going to be fixed necessarily throughout the rest of the season. This is a Matt Eberflus problem. He's 14-29 as the head coach of the Chicago Bears over 2.5 seasons. He has now fired 2 offensive coordinators in the same calendar year. He was so proud of this process that led him to Shane Waldron talking about the communication element and how he teaches things to players. And then yesterday, when he was asked about the biggest issues that he alluded to would need to change, he talked about the in-game communication. So in the short term, this gets mitigated, I guess, Thomas Brown becoming the play caller, but long term, this is an Eberflus problem he can no longer run away
But one follow-up, that's a huge headline, again, from Sylvie, that veteran players are maybe wondering if Caleb Williams should go to the bench for a bit. Is that what you're hearing?
Well, I'll say this. They have emboldened players. They have the 8 captains. 4 of them are on the offense, one of whom is Caleb Williams. These players' voices carry a lot of weight inside Hallis Hall, and we'll find out soon. Matt Eberflus said that there will be no switch at quarterback. If it will remain Caleb Williams going forward, but we'll find out soon how players end up reacting to the change in offensive coordinator and those voices that are being reported if that stuff ends up getting quieted.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, and if that is the case, that players are going behind his back to coaches, that's an absolute problem. I like the fact that they're not benching him, that they're keeping him in. Let's see what happens. Let's see what kind of character he has when things are really shit hitting the fan big time, as it does for a lot of rookies. But this seems a little different. This seems a little different. And all right, let's get more reaction. Here's Dave Wanstead. And that was from Around the Horn earlier with Courtney Corona. Let's go to the score, 670 The Score in Chicago. Dave Wanstead, who lives down here, by the way, usually. He's here a lot in Southwest Florida. He reacts to the firing of Shane Waldron.
We've got some breaking news here on the Score.
Yeah, we have breaking news on 670 The Score presented by BetQL. Smarter bets start with BetQL. Download the BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com. Jonathan Jones from CBS is reporting the Bears have fired offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. A source tells Jonathan Jones from CBS. So as we sit here and talk about what his role will be, it seems that the Bears have moved on from their play caller.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, and I would not be surprised if DJ Moore, and I'm throwing this out. This is all, just in my crazy mind here, thinking DJ Moore with Caleb, with Cole Kmet, that they don't walk into Flus's office yesterday and say, or maybe after the game and say, Coach, we got to do something. We're not giving ourselves a chance to be successful. So I would be willing to bet that the players had an opinion on this thing when it's all said and done.
Do you think that they needed to say that for that to be clear to Matt Eberflus? It should be crystal clear, Dave.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, David, but maybe. I mean, I think it just makes a coach's mind up. It just makes the decision a little more clear.
Easier. And according to Tom Pelissero, Thomas Brown, as expected, will take over as offensive coordinator, and assuming that he will call the plays beginning Sunday against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
So
this is an indictment, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but this is a little bit on indictment on who you're hiring and what's your hiring process, guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's fair.
What the hell? I mean, so you hire a guy and then halfway through the scene, you don't like what we're doing on offense. What did you talk about on the interview?
Mm-hmm. Well, you talked about sharing an agent, and you have to wonder at what point that came into play, because you did have an interview process where you interviewed guys who were hired elsewhere, and you hired the guy who had a representative that also represents your general manager and your head coach. So you have to wonder, Dave, as much as Trace Armstrong is the guy that played for you, you have to wonder what role he played in this disaster, because it was a bad hire.
I agree. And look, I said at the beginning of the season, I'm surprised he's lasted this long. And with the offense that they put on paper, allegedly, DJ Moore and others, I never thought Eberflus was the guy for this, unfortunately. For the Bears and their Bear fans, we'll see. They're going to have tough times ahead with Caleb Williams. And Matt Eberflus, I don't think will be there at the end of the year. And I think Mike Florio even brought it up. They should have fired him too. If you're going to do this, just fire them all and just start over. Just start over. All right, quick break. Bill Sparrows, Boston Herald, and Bookies.com going to join us here on the Pete Sheppard Show. Coming up next here on the Hump Day edition on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu. Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Bill Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up. On Saturday, November 30th, it's Willie O'Ree, yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
McAvoy navigates in. His pass up top. Lorai scoops it up. Now to McAvoy. Pasternak healed a one-timer. Sent out in front by Lorai. Chipped at. Binnington doesn't know where it is. Pasternak should Binnington. They score! David Pasternak rifles one home from the left circle. His first in 8 games. Brew Green, Blues 2. Oh, Boston just taking great plays all around the offensive zone. Even the misfire to the front of the net. Geeky almost puts it away. Zaka's in there trying to keep the play alive.
Thanks to Nesson with the call last night. Bruins come back. They were down 2-0 entering the third. They score all 3 goals. They were 0-7-0 heading into that game last night in that type of situation. So a lot of heart, a lot of character. And Dave Pasternak, as you heard from Nesson, the first goal in 8 games. And they win the game by a score of 3-2. As we welcome Bill Sparrows in for his weekly visit from the Boston Herald and bookies.com. Celtics walked through the cup with that horrible floor. only to be outdone by the Smurf turf in Philadelphia floor. But anyway, Bill, good morning. Nice win. So you got your Bruins hat on. I forgot to put mine on today, but yeah, nice win by the Bees last night overall, down 2-0. Showed me a little something there, and here we go. Hi, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Celtics and Bruins, both sleptwalked through last night, but the Bruins actually woke up after 48 minutes. And the Celtics, unfortunately, did not have any time because they ran out of time at 48 minutes. Yeah,
They had all these they had about 10 opportunities. I mean, they're up by 15 in the game. Tatum didn't have a great game. I understand that. No Trae Young. I don't know. There's just certain matchups, Bill, that certain teams in certain sports. I mean, remember this team was
yeah,
up.
but they had trouble with them.
Remember the 30-point comeback Atlanta made last year.
Yeah,
I don't know what it
they've
is.
always they seem to have trouble with Atlanta of late. I'm not sure if they care about this cup thing or not.
They don't.
It seemed last year we were led to believe that it mattered, but perhaps after winning an NBA title, this is more distraction than a goal.
The fact the Lakers hung a banner last year is the
ultimate
embarrassment.
You can't be hanging NBA Cup banners or Western Conference Championship banners. I mean, look, I remember the old Garden.
Adams
and the had all those Adams Division title banners because they had to counterweight the pressure on the roof from all the Celtics banners. But I mean, you win a title, you hang a banner. I'll give you the American and National League pennant because that meant something like 100 years ago. But I'm sorry, Western Conference, AFC Championship, NBA Cup. I mean, we're like two levels from, giving the Red Sox a participation trophy for making an offer on Juan Soto.
Well, let's get. I was going to save that for last, but let's just get to that. I mean, the Celtics they're awesome. Whatever. That was a piss poor game. They get to play Brooklyn tonight again, who also played them tough last week, but. They're still alive in the cup. They're still alive. I don't know. I thought Tatum might not even play last night. I didn't think I didn't think Harper was going to play either. I'm not sure either one of them are going to play tonight. It'll be interesting to see if Joel Embiid plays tonight after his pathetic 13-point debut and looked winded last night. And they get to play Cleveland tonight on the Smurf on the Smurf turf. So the other thing about the cup, I can't stand these floors. I can't stand it. It messes with my rods and cones. I feel like I need to wear sunglasses for some of this stuff, and it's got to affect a little bit of shooting, a little bit your vision and all that stuff, depth perception. It's just weird to me. That was bad. And then you flip over to TNT last night and watch the Smurf turf, Philadelphia 76ers, and that was even worse. Even worse to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta, it would just make sense that anytime you change anything that's routine, the floor, if you're used to a floor at home, a certain background, whatever it is. I mean, anytime you make a change, it is going to take time to adjust to. Last night they gave up 20 offensive rebounds or something. Yeah. So yeah. I don't think the floor, they were allegedly looking up at those rebounds, although who knows, So I don't know if it was the floor so much as, them just for whatever reason not.
I'm not using the floor as an excuse. Don't get me wrong. Even at the very end, they screwed it up. The inbounding pass to Tatum goes out of bounds, and they get the ball back nicely. I thought for sure Jalen was going to hit that shot at the end. It was probably the worst shot he put up all night. Barely hit the rim, the back of the rim. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm not worried about the Celtics at all. The Bruins, let's see. It might be a good thing that they're not racing out ahead. The Winnipeg Jets, how about that? With Hellebuck from the former UMass Lowell goaltender who's just lighting it up over there. And they're 15-1. No one's ever started off 15-1, the Winnipeg Jets. Could be a good thing or a bad thing. We'll see. We've seen the Bruins come close to having that type of record a couple of years ago and fade in the first round of the playoffs. But still, something that's never been done before. Interesting. And I'm glad the kid from UMass Lowell in goal is doing a great job. But all right, let's get to Soto. I think this is, if Ricardo Montalban was still alive, the only way I would believe this story is if I saw John Henry and Tom Warner get off a plane on Fantasy Island and say they wanted to, sign Juan Soto. That's the only way this is going to happen. But unfortunately, Ricardo Montalban is no longer with us. The silly remake that was done, that was played by his niece, character-wise, his niece, was awful. So outside of Fantasy Island, do you think the Red Sox have any shot at Juan Soto at all, or is this just gobbledygook?
I saw someone actually posted a photo with John Henry on social media yesterday. The picture was taken yesterday.
I did.
So
I saw it.
it's encouraging to know that he's alive and ambulatory. And it did look like the real John Henry. And, being the journalist that I am, I did check available public records in the state of Florida, and he did vote in this past election. So someone, either him or someone pretending to be him, is alive. He is ambulatory. He was cognizant enough to vote in the state of Florida. So at least they'll be there. I don't think Henry will be there. But, it's kind of like, okay, I don't doubt that they're going to make him an offer. I think they will. But are they going to make an offer that's even the least bit competitive? Are they going to try to, make a case for him to come to Boston financially and or otherwise? Or is this just, again, a perfunctory going through the motions? Season ticket renewals are coming
Wonderful
up.
word, by the way.
Regular season tickets are going on sale. It's always this time of year. I mean, what was it last year with the Full Throttle? Full Throttle came up about 2 weeks before the ticket deadline. And then right after the ticket deadline, that sort of faded. We're in the Full Throttle part of the year right now. So, they got to sell tickets. Christmas is coming up, all that fun stuff. So, this is probably as much marketing as anything else. If they were to sign him, I'd be the first one to congratulate him and admit that, hey, times have changed and let's give him credit. But again, it always comes back to the participation trophy. We're supposed to be, you got BBWA state-run media out there telling us that, oh no, the Red Sox are really going to make an offer, so we should be happy. No, we shouldn't be happy. They like broke the laws of baseball to sign Alex Rodriguez 20 years ago. They flew to Arizona on Thanksgiving to sign Kurt Schilling. And, now we're supposed to give them credit for submitting an offer, for being in the room, in between breakfast and lunch. I'm sorry, I'm not there until we see the payroll, until the checks are cut, until the press conference. I give them credit for nothing.
I agree.
I give them no credit. They've done,
I agree.
Since they traded Mookie Betts, and Dan Shaughnessy, as he always does, has the historical analogies between 2018 and 1918. But I did the math. Since they traded Mookie Betts, they are 359 and 360.
Yep.
That is literally mathematically impossible to be any closer to 500, given the odd number of games. You cannot be statistically closer to 500 after 719 games than being 359 and 360. It is mathematically Oppenheimer impossible. Since they let Mookie Betts go, salary dump, trade, whatever you want to call it. So they are a mediocre team, and the numbers prove it. And they've been mediocre in payroll. They've been mediocre in performance. They're mediocre in management. They're mediocre in ownership. And this has been 5 seasons of this. There's been 5 seasons of mediocrity.
Yeah.
On Yawkey Way, Jersey Street, whatever you want to call it, DEI Boulevard. I don't care what you call it this week. 5 years of mediocrity. And until something of substance happens to change that, I don't know why anyone would believe a word that they say. Or anything that they do short of cutting a check and getting a Corbin Burns or a Juan Soto or someone of that, someone who can not only put asses in the seats, but to actually shore up the rotation and or the lineup.
And what's frustrating is, and there are a lot of people, and I agree, there's talent here. There's talent on the Red Sox. There's good young talent. What's his name? The pitcher comes back. They're supposed to be the race. Yeah. Hopefully he comes back.
And good on him. He's trying to recruit players.
Yeah.
That's great. I love to see it.
They got there are those out there. I think they're 2 or 3 players away from being back to championship status, but they got to get a guy like Soto. And I agree with everything you said, 100%. Plus, Perfunctory is my new word, my favorite word of the day, maybe of the decade. Perfunctory. It so sums their organization up. And when is John Henry, if ever again, going to address anything? I don't care if he talks about taking a poop in the morning and having a cup of coffee, but say something. Anybody. I'm so sick of hearing, people that have to answer for him, the president, or it doesn't matter. I'm tired of it, and I don't know one Red Sox fan that feels confident that they are even going to come close to Soto, because it's going to be close to 400 mil, right?
At
It'd be
least.
400 mil.
And again, I'm not so sure about the Yankees either. I might be wrong about that, but I'm not so sure the Yankees. Hal Steinbrenner has, he sort of put out the smoke signals last year that, I'm not sure we can sustain this much longer in terms of the spending, and the fact that they completely gagged in the World Series with that payroll, and your best guy decides to not catch a fly ball that he caught in Little League. Maybe I'm wrong, and God bless him if they keep this guy, but I'm not 100% sold on the Yankees, trying to keep pace with the Dodgers or the Mets. I'm 100% sold on the Mets. They're like all in.
I'm 100% sold on the Dodgers. That wouldn't shock me. I would put the Dodgers ahead. I swear to God, as incredible as that sounds, I mean, you put him on that team. Again, of course, there's no guarantees, but good. I put the Dodgers first and the Mets second, and then maybe the Yankees. Now, we always talk about, is that third team out there that's going to swoop in for $400 million? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure anymore. I think it's down to those three teams, and I don't believe anything about the Red Sox. Are there local writers up there? I don't read everything every day that's going out in New England, but most of the stuff I get from your columns or on Twitter and stuff. I don't read everybody's because I will refuse to pay for anybody's stuff. I'm not doing it local, regionally, or nationally. I get ESPN Plus for free, so I get those articles. But other than that, are there local writers out there that really, truly believe the Red Sox have a residue of hope with Juan Soto?
Nothing I've read that they have a chance, but we're being told that the fact that they're trying to sign him is good. And to me, that's like the bare minimum. That's like getting a C- on your final exam. You did sort of just enough to pass. A D. Some schools wouldn't pass you with a D. So Marquette, they wouldn't pass me with a D, so I had to get a C. So I would say getting a C on your final exam is attempting to sign Juan Soto. And the Red Sox are the C team. I mean, literally, mathematically, figuratively, metaphorically. I mean, they are as average gets.
And that is so sad that you have to say that, which is 100% accurate, by the way. By the way, when you were at Marquette, was Major Goolsby's there when you were there, one of the great sports bars of all time?
Not to totally digress, but apparently we're going to totally digress. When the Celtics swept the Bucks in the 1986 conference finals. Yes. My graduation from Marquette was at the Mecca that morning. They cleared us out. The Celtics and the Bucks played that afternoon, maybe 2 hours after I graduated. My brothers and I went to Major Goolsby, watched that Celtics Bucks game. There was one ticket left. We went to the Bucks. They had one ticket left, but there were three of us. Wow. So we went to Major Goolsby's, watched that game, and when Bird walked off the court and hit that three as he was walking off, we ran out into the street. I'm still wearing my graduation gown. And we were celebrating. And some TV guy ended up interviewing me because he saw me in my graduation gown. And they had me on the local news that night in Milwaukee. And they were mad that they put me on because I said, it's a great day because the Celtics won. I just graduated from college. And they said, why did they put this guy on? And he said, well, he graduated from college today. So I am well aware of Major Goolsby's, having spent 4 years at Marquette.
Yeah, one of my best friends went there. So
that was like one of the original. Like I've seen stories about like the original like 5 sports bars in America, and that was one of them.
Yeah,
that was like one of the original OG, like 50, 45 year ago sports bars.
We went in 1988 when I just turned 21. My buddy Pete was going to school out there his senior year. He lived with 6 other guys that I wouldn't go in the shower. And I'm not a prude, but it was so disgusting. But who cares? And we went to Major Goolsby's and had a ball, had flirted and chat. I was single. I mean, it was just a fun type of place. And then we went to another place at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning before we get back into sports, because I think this is funny, is I do think Major Goolsby's is one of the great sports bars I've ever been to. But we went to Real Chili. And Real Chili is where Marquette students go. It doesn't matter. And you literally get a little bowl of noodles with chili on it and everything else. And it becomes, after 1 o'clock, a complete food fight right out of Animal House. I couldn't believe it. I thought my friend was making it up before I got there until we went and witnessed it. And I got some right in the face. I did not throw anybody. I didn't throw anything. I was laughing so hard and I was shit-faced anyway. I mean,
yeah, we normally didn't hit
Real Chili's is they actually throw food at each other.
Yeah, well, we normally didn't get there till about 3 a.m.
Maybe it was that time.
So usually the ruffians had been cleared out by then. We went because we were hungry and drunk.
Yeah.
So we actually ate the food and didn't throw it.
Yeah. I ate my food. I got hit with something
But
that was aimed at a friend of mine.
It came back one way or another the next day.
It absolutely did. Bill Spiros on with us from the Boston Herald and Bookies.com. Okay, enough of the Marquette and Milwaukee reminiscing. But hey, it's fun. I think. Look, we're a nationwide, worldwide show here, so we have people in Wisconsin that listen. I know that know exactly what we're talking about. Actually, when I was at the other station, we had a texter named Major Goolsby's. That was his texter name. It was hysterical. So I'm glad you had a great time there as well. I was going to say, when you were rooting, though, when you're rooting for the Celtics in that bar, did any Milwaukee people get in your face? Or it's not their way anyway.
No. I mean, no, we were,
Yeah, you weren't obnoxious about it.
I'm a young kid full of piss and vinegar, but no, they were. No, I used to go to. I saw the Red Sox play. I'd see the Celtics play out there. The Patriots never made it, but whenever I would go to a Red Sox game in Milwaukee or a Celtics game in Milwaukee, or even a Celtics game in Chicago, I was at the Patriots game in Chicago in 1985 when they crossed midfield once. Everybody was very nice. I mean, the people in Milwaukee were great. I have to say, I went out there. I was only 17 when I started college. And I went out there and I was just shocked at how nice everybody was.
Mm-hmm.
Like people would say, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "What's your problem?" And then my friends from the Midwest were like, "Bill, they're just trying to be nice." And it took me a while to get used to, but I loved it. The people were great. The people in Milwaukee were great. It was, especially for a kid coming from, Massachusetts, coming from Arlington, it was, I have to say, my friends, their families, it was really a great experience. And it opened my eyes to the fact that, there's kind of like different parts of the country, like not everything's the same. And for someone from New England, it's always a shock.
We were at the Mecca, and 2 other quick things before we move on here, because I get all the time in the world. We don't have to break. We break whenever. We went to the Mecca. Now, you got to understand how my friend Pete was obviously a huge Marquette Warrior guy. Myself and my 2 other friends were both Providence College. My friend Jack was also a huge Georgetown fan at the time. So we got they're playing Oregon State that night, the game we went to. And Oregon State at the time was very good. I think they were ranked 2nd or 3rd going into that game. Marquette was that year. And my friend sat in the student section. Jack, myself, another guy sat up way up. The only tickets we get way up in the 300s or whatever it was, rooting for Oregon State, like you could not believe. Not obnoxious, but obnoxious, not swearing or cussing or anything like that, but obnoxious enough. Like, we were standing up and cheering free throws and everything else. That somebody turned around, some older man turned around and kind of yelled at us, told us to get out. We're like, no. So we cheered louder. Anyway, I remember that. I also remember you remember if you went to County Stadium, Bill, which was one of the great old school stadiums, but their longtime PA announcer, Bob Betts, do you remember him? He was one of a kind, much like Schoenfeller was with the Red Sox, But Bob Betts would be like, Now he always sounded angry. Now batting, number 24, Deere, Rob Deere. He'd just yelling at you. He'd yelling at you, no matter who it was. It used to always crack me up. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the Patriots a little bit, shall we? Another not unbelievable, a solid win, 9 sacks. The Bears end up firing their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. I don't know necessarily he and Eberflus probably both should have gone. When you have a quarterback, I've said it earlier, 25 out of 38 sacks, or when you hold the ball for 4 seconds or more, I don't know how much he just doesn't have. Right now, doesn't have very good instincts, doesn't know how to throw the ball away, but give the Patriots credit, give Drake May credit, except for that one throw out of bounds that got intercepted. Other than that, they're becoming a very fun team to watch, and this should be a very fun game coming up this week with the Rams, who unfortunately couldn't get out of their own way Monday night in a field goal fest against the Miami Dolphins, but man, if the Patriots can do what the Dolphins did on defense and hold them to 5 field goals, New England might have a shot to win this one too. But interesting stuff.
That number's moved 1.5 since Sunday toward the Patriots. Last time I checked, it was 4.5. It opened at 6.
Okay.
So Patriots are actually 4-6 on the line this year, a little bit better than their record. And last week, notwithstanding, they're even on the over. This is a tough game for the Rams. They're heading east
after Monday night
game. Mm-hmm. It's an early start. The Patriots will be tan rested and ready. If you can throw those guys off on their routes, just knock them a little bit, and force Stafford to, maybe check down. I think the Patriots will be okay against the run. They know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just afraid. My only fear in this game is that the Rams, score like 14 points in the first half. I don't know if the Patriots can, they can't keep up with them. If they're able to strike, if I'm calling plays for that offense, my first play from scrimmage, I'm going downfield for it all.
I agree totally.
I'm trying to strike early and get a lead, but if
Cooper Kupp
if this game is close, at halftime, I think the Patriots might win it. Every week May gets better. He's improving with every mistake. He's learning. He's kind of going like this. You talk about the Bears. It's sad, but Caleb Williams has kind of been like this since week 2.
I'm not surprised, Bill, and I think too much pressure was put on him. He hasn't responded very well to it. I think from the beginning, I never liked Matt Eberflus as a head coach. Despite the fact what it looked like on paper, and I've said this to you before, and I said it to everybody else this week that I've talked to, I can't get that image out of my head with the USC-UCLA game when he dove into the stand and cried on mommy's breast while she was consoling him. Not his fault that he scored a whole bunch of points for USC. Not his fault Lincoln Riley can't coach defense. But that image stuck in my head, and I'm like, this guy, I don't know if he's going to be able to handle Chicago.
Well, I'll say this. I think Drake May's brothers would have beat the shit out of him if he went to his mother and started crying after a loss. I guarantee you that.
Yes, I agree.
So you're not going to see that out of Drake May. I like Drake May from the get-go. I'm all in. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. The problem with Caleb Williams is, he might improve next year when the Bears bring in a new coach, probably like an offensive mind kind of guy. I actually did their next coaching odds for bookies yesterday. I think, they want to bring in a, kind of a Ben Johnson type that could elevate that offense, Caleb Williams. But he is plateaued. I don't see him breaking out of this. That Jaden Daniels pass killed the Bears for this season.
Yeah.
Eventually it's going to cost Eberflus's job. And thankfully the Patriots are not that team. They're actually looking better. And they're fun to watch.
Bill,
which is really all you want. I don't care if they win or lose games this year. Yeah. I would love for them to win every game. I'd love for them to get in the playoffs. They got the quarterback, and everything else comes after that.
Did you see the stat about midway through the third quarter? I believe it was. Might have been midway through the second or third quarter. Since Drake May has taken over the Patriots, they are number 1 in red zone offense. I was floored when I saw that. After being ranked at the bottom for 2 years, basically, a year and a half. And you put him out there, and you're number 1 now in the NFL.
Well, again, that's an indictment of personnel and coaching that they didn't go all in.
Mm-hmm.
I've written this and this going on the gravestone. The second they realized they were drafting Drake May, Kraft, Jonathan, Robin Glazer, Kraft's
Mhm.
child bride, whoever, someone needed to come down and say, look, we're going to gear up everything we do moving forward to make this guy our starting QB in week 1. And they didn't do that. So I give Drake May a mulligan for this year, and he's still playing well.
But here's the thing. Imagine if he started,
there you go.
The offensive line was better back in the beginning of the season.
Well, the offensive line is always better when
Yeah.
the quarterback can throw the ball and he can actually run with the ball. So that by default makes the offensive line better.
But their excuse
What a
was
static
the offensive-
situation.
But the excuse was, well, the offensive line is going to get him killed, and we don't really basically read between the lines. We don't care if Jacoby Brissett gets killed, but we know Drake May. No, you don't. No, you
Exactly.
don't. You should have been starting from the beginning because the
Amen.
offensive line got worse with injury as the season went on. And when Drake May finally took over, it might have been at its low point, and he overcame that at its low point. Imagine what he would have done. They would have beat Seattle. They would have beat Miami, and
I'm feeling mania. I am all in.
Yep.
Forget Hulkamania out, Drake Mania in.
All right, one last thing before we let you go, let's talk about anything new on the gambling front. You being the senior betting analyst on Booking.com, what has anything transpired since last we spoke?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, this is not a political thing. This is an analysis thing.
Yes.
The gambling front across the board looks brighter with Donald Trump in the White House for a lot of reasons. Number one, in Texas, one of his big contributors was Miriam Adelson.
Oh.
And she wants casino betting and sports betting in Texas. She bought the Mavericks. She wants to open up a casino in Dallas. The primary opponent of sports betting in Texas has been Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who may or may not end up in the Trump administration. With him out of the way, or with him convinced to change his ways by virtue of Trump's influence, that might open the door for sports betting in Texas, which would be monstrous when it launched until 2026. But that's a different story. Mm-hmm. Also, you had earnings this week from FanDuel and DraftKings. FanDuel posted today. They missed the street a little bit, but their numbers were exceptional. FanDuel is starting to pull away in terms of primacy and overall, not just market share, but I mean, they turned a profit last quarter, which is pretty impressive.
What's making them ahead of the curve? I mean, because everything seems equal to me. The Hard Rock down here is a little behind as far as what you're able to do with some of these other sites. But why is FanDuel, number one on the poll?
Well, the real key to profitability in sports betting is sort of the same game parlay. Single game parlay, and they seem to be doing a little bit better at that than DraftKings. And also DraftKings is expanding. You have to remember FanDuel is just part of Paddy Pay, which has been in England forever. DraftKings is a standalone. So they don't have a casino backing them up like MGM does or Hard Rock. So they have to do it on their own, which is why they bought this Jackpocket online lottery site. They spend and lottery.com, whatever it's called. So they're trying to get into online lottery. And during their earnings call last week, they mentioned the possibility of opening up a trading market, kind of like a poly market. Those aren't officially legal yet, even though Kelce was operating during the election. The court case on that is in flux, but they were given kind of a window to operate during the election. Depending on how the Commodities Futures Trading Commission is stacked, given how the betting markets favored Trump, he might be inclined to sort of allow those to become legal if he or his people have any say in that. So there's a lot of kind of things that like you have to sort of follow the dots.
Yeah,
and you can follow the dots to Texas. You can follow the dots to maybe having legal trading markets for elections like we saw limited this year. You can follow the dots to see how FanDuel is sort of really kind of focused. They've really honed in on the most profitable areas of sports betting. And it's funny, DraftKings issued when they were issuing their downgrade, part of their warning was the fact that the public has done so well this year during football season. Whereas FanDuel in their earnings, which was actually posted last night, they talked about growth during football season. And I think, football handle, and according to their earnings, is up 36%. Customer acquisition's up 10%. Now, again, they're in the same boat with DraftKings in terms of the public doing well. But a lot of these parlays, that's where the money is.
I agree.
And whenever a team like the Chiefs fails to cover, or a heavy favorite loses, and the underdogs were great last week. Anytime you see that happen, the books are making a killing because they're making all these money on multiple leg parlays. And the last betting thing at Patrick Mahomes, he's 12-1-1 as an underdog. He's getting 2.5 points this week. I'm going to bet that till I die.
With you. And then you got Lamar Jackson, who never loses to NFC teams.
Yes.
I mean, those are trends that come into play. Now, I got suckered in with LSU a little bit because Brian Kelly, 15-0 at home under the lights since he's took over LSU. I really thought they would give Alabama more of a game. And then Georgia, the same thing. Those are the type of games that Lane Kiffin usually loses. Georgia goes in, and Lane Kiffin goes in and spanks the Bulldogs, forces them into an elimination game this week. The other stuff, and I tell people this all the time, you got to look at games that are not overly featured on national TV, particularly in college. Now, almost every game in college is 99% are on TV or on ESPN+. It doesn't matter. So you look at a team like Tulane last week, minus 27 against Temple, a pathetic Temple team. And if you do a little research, Tulane loves to clobber people. And they did it again. They covered by 25, and they beat Temple by 52-0, I think it was. Those are the games that people have to focus on, or at least put them in part of your parlay. It's not the big games that are on CBS and ESPN and ABC and NBC. It's those other little games that you may not look at. Just do a little research.
Top 10 college teams against the spread. At least 7-1-1, 8-2, 7-2. Top 10 college teams against the spread this year. You got no chance of getting all 10. Army, Indiana, Tulane, Eastern Michigan, Marshall, Colorado, South Carolina, BYU, Minnesota, and my favorite, Arizona State.
Oh,
so those are your top 10 college teams against the spread this year. Everyone is at least 7-2. Indiana and Tulane are 8-2. Army 7-1-1. Great year for the Army. Their best year since 1945.
Absolutely
football and just kicking ass.
Bill, you're the best. Thanks so much. You can check out your columns on at the Boston Herald and also at the senior betting analyst at bookies.com. You have some great stuff there. Always fantastic insight. Thank you so much, kind sir.
Jake Paul, Mike Tyson preview column in today's Herald.
Oh, nice. And I got it's on Netflix coming up this week, right?
Friday night at 8 o'clock, undercard, 3 bouts. Tyson and Paul, 8 rounds, 2 minutes apiece, 14-ounce gloves.
What's your take on that?
I think Paul's going to beat him.
Really?
Everybody, Tyson is getting 60 to 90% of the handle, depending on the book. He was knocked down from plus 340 to plus 220. And everybody thinks he's going to go out there and just knock out Jake Paul with one punch. And people don't want to hear it. Jake Paul is a good fighter.
Can Paul kick him? Is he allowed to kick?
No.
You can't?
Now, this is a sanctioned heavyweight title fight.
This
is a sanctioned fight. This is not an exhibition. Still 6 states have not allowed betting on it, but it is a title fight. It is a legitimate sanctioned fight. It's going to go on their record.
Wow. That's it. Whoop. I didn't mean to do that. I messed up. I was going to play. Hang on before you go out. Damn it. Where the hell is it? You'll like this. Where is it?
What are you guys doing? This is supposed to be an exhibition. You understand? An exhibition.
Well, hopefully there's nobody dies in this one, but I'll be tuned in. I can't wait.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
All right, Bill, thanks so much. We'll talk next week. All the best. Love your insight.
Thank you, Pete.
Take care. Bill Sparrows, one of the greats in the business, joining me from the Boston Herald and bookies.com. Angel, we're going to take Angel's back. So I know you had some major deliveries going on. Are you good? We're going to take a quick break and come back. Are you sure you want to hang around for one more segment or so?
Yeah, no, I'm still waiting for that delivery. So in case I do pop out when we come back, that's the reason why. But yeah, I'm still waiting for it.
All right, got some more video to play for you. And are you doing your show today? Is Martinez and Company coming up at 10 today, or do you have? I mean, you've been busy. No. So what about the rest of the network at the rest of the day?
I'll put out messages throughout the day. What's going on? I'm still waiting to hear back if Q came back from traveling. He was on Monday. He may be traveling again. I know he traveled yesterday. So I'm waiting to see. But yeah, no, Martinez Cup is going to be rescheduled because I am running on fumes and ready to freaking hit the bed. But no, so there's that. And then there's some pictures going to be loaded up there from the USF men's basketball. Will be up on the website a little bit later on. Same with with the Lightning from last week with the Flyers. Thanks to our official photographer here of Sports Radio 102.9, Alex Walworth. He's just doing an amazing job. So I do appreciate everything that he's done and continues to do. So yeah, Martinez Company will, if not rescheduled throughout the day, maybe tomorrow, I don't know, come Friday, but come Monday at 10:30 before we go to break here. For those that, and I know Joey B, who normally will watch the same kind of stuff that I end up watching here. If you guys watch and you hear me talking about it from time to time, 90 Day Fiance on TLC, Vanya, the lady who is with Bojo, even though it's Bozo, so people think it's Bozo, it's Bojo. She will be with me on Monday at 10:30, so that should be a good time with
I'm tuning into that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's too bad you and Debbie couldn't get on that show before you got married.
It'd have been fun, that's for sure.
Now it's too late. Now it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late now, but we'd have been the least amount of drama. That's why you watch it, because we watch everybody else's drama.
That's fantastic. USF won last night, by the way, or no?
Yes, they did. They needed that homegrown cooking. Yeah, so they went 1-2. Next game's coming up on Friday, 7:00, I believe, because I know they travel to Portland, but the next one will be against West Georgia at home at 7. So I missed the exhibition one that they had, but last night they had a dedication once again to Coach Amir. Yeah. So they will be wearing the AAR patches on their sleeve for the coaches, and then on the jerseys for the men. So yeah, that was a good solid win last night, and much needed win. So now they are 1-2 for the season.
Alrighty. Okay, when we come back, we may do a little major college basketball rundown last night. Some very good basketball games. My beloved Friars are now 3-0. After coming back and beating Hampton by 8. Nevertheless, 3-0 is 3-0. They got another game coming up against Wisconsin, Green Bay, before heading out to the Bahamas to play a real team in Oklahoma. So hopefully Bryce Hopkins, one of the best players in the country, will be back for that game. So we'll do that. Got some other cool video to show you, and then we'll get out of here by at 9:30, Angel, so you have time to rest and relax as well. All right, all part of the Pete Sheppard Show here on Hump Day Wednesday on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up. On Saturday, November 30th, it's Willie O'Ree. Yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public, $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuggio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Okay, men. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You want the best in sports and entertainment? You got it. Now back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
A screen by Green, the switch to Lively. 3, Curry.
What a game last night. One of the best games of the year if you stayed up and watched it on TNT. Golden State over the Mavericks, 120-117 as they came back. I think they were down near 20 in that one. Steph Curry, 37 points, including Golden State's final 12 in that one. Rallied the Warriors, plus Klay Thompson. Very emotional return. And the Dallas Mavericks as well. Probably one of the best games of the year in the NBA. And I stayed up for the first quarter and just fell asleep. 120-117. Klay Thompson finished with 22 and an emotional return to Chase Center for the first time since he departed for Dallas there. So that was one hell of a win. And Steph Curry doing Steph Curry things, scoring the last 12 in that game. Very exciting basketball game. Just saw the highlights this morning. Welcome back. This is the Pete Sheppard Show. Final little segment here on the Coastal Sports Network. What I want to do is play a couple of videos here. Angel might have to refresh. First and foremost about, let's go to the second one down. It's TNT. NBA and TNT, as I've always said, this is LOL Shaq. This is him. Last night on TNT, the best studio show ever as far as pregame, halftime, and postgame. It is must-watch TV with Kenny the Jet Smith, Shaq, Chuck, and Ernie Johnson. I'm not sure. Is that the crew they had in last? I forget. But Shaq was there. Here's Shaq last night. Yes, it is. Here's Shaq last night doing Shaq stuff.
Klay also the subject of Shaq's picks.
Yeah, he didn't play well, Ernie, but, there was a couple of shots there. He started heating up, and it made me turn into my alter ego. Run the tape. Let me tell you something, Ernie. A couple of threes right there. Listen, Ernie, he's about to be on fire right here.
So you're Fire Marshal Bill?
Klay Thompson, Fire Marshal Shaquille. Get it right. He's on fire, Ernie. He is on freaking fire right here. This is the Klay we all know and love. Ernie. Camera Aisha, camera one. Let me tell you something. Brought me to my alter ego, Ernie.
Yeah. Klay also the subject of...
Was that supposed to be fireman from In Living Color?
Yeah.
No. Oh, that was awful, Shaq. That is one of the... That's terrible. That was Jim Carrey's character. Very funny back in the day. That's terrible. I thought he was doing a Popeye impersonation at first.
Now, I think he may have gotten him confused, and I'm surprised Chuck didn't say anything.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Well, and then one more, and then we're going to let Angel go here. I'll wrap up. One more from Get Up this morning, and Feinbaum on with Heather Dinich and Greenberg and everything else. And you've got, again, this is going to change, especially if Georgia beats Tennessee this week, because that's an elimination game for them. And I think they will rebound and beat them after getting upset by Ole Miss in Oxford last week. But look, there's a big difference between there is a difference between the college football playoff rankings and the seedings. And you may not necessarily agree with it for now. Right now, Oregon, the four byes are Oregon 1, Texas 2, BYU 3, Miami 4. The matchups would be Boise State versus Ohio State in the 12-5 matchup. The winner plays Miami. As of today, Notre Dame would play at Tennessee. The winner would play at Oregon. Ole Miss in the 11-4 matchup would play at Penn State. The winner would play at BYU. Alabama would play at Indiana, and the winner would play Texas. But Paul Feinbaum, the first two teams out are Georgia and SMU. So interesting take by Feiney on all of this. He is outraged.
Oh, boy.
Just read some numbers. Georgia's strength of schedule right now is number 1 in the country. Number 1. Their strength of record is number 3 in the country. There are teams ahead, and they are right now out of the playoff. For the record, they beat Texas at Texas. Texas's strength of schedule is 55. Their strength of record is 10. They haven't beaten a team that is ranked, and they are number 3 in the country. And Georgia, at this moment, is on the outside looking in. Paul, this is it is a mockery. How could you explain it?
Well, you have to start by saying that what the committee said last night was a complete travesty. There's no getting around it. And I know they work hard. They sit in a room at a 5-star resort ordering caviar and champagne and sit around and talk about college football when they have 4,000 numbers to look at. So I don't know how they came up with these numbers. Georgia started the season, Greeny, against Clemson, which has been ranked which was in the top 10 at the time. Their road schedule has been the toughest of anyone in the country, as you pointed out. They went to Alabama, Texas, and then Ole Miss. They've all been ranked in the top 10. They also went to Kentucky, which has been very poor, but they did beat Ole Miss, which is ranked inside the system. They have a chance. They'll play Tennessee this weekend, and if they win, they'll probably end up back in the committee's good graces. Mm-hmm. But how the committee can disrespect them and put schools like Penn State? Are you serious? What has Penn State done this year? Do they even have their most impressive win, I think, was at Southern Cal, a 5-loss team, and against Michigan, another 5-loss team. Somewhere in there, they beat Illinois, which I haven't seen in a couple of weeks. There's no justification for it. I know I'm getting excited because there's still 3 weeks to go, but how can you not be outraged at what we heard?
Well, look, there's a little bit of truth to that. It's not a perfect system. We talked about this at the beginning when all of this was going on, that we're not there. We're not the final yet. Georgia beats Tennessee, they're going to get in. Georgia loses, and they're out. They're out. There's no question. Duncan Dad says Penn State doesn't belong in the playoff. Well, look, I mean, does Indiana? They have the 103rd worst schedule. Does Indiana? But they keep winning, and they look like a sound football team. Penn State can't beat Michigan or Ohio State. They already lost to Ohio State this year, a game they could have won easily. Not easily, but they should have won it. Again, Franklin, field goal Franklin, as Jay Flannelly calls him all the time. Again, it's not a perfect system. I look at my Miami Hurricanes, and I'm thrilled that they're 4th. They would get a bye, despite the fact that technically right now SMU and Clemson are technically ahead of them in the standings, but only by a half a game. And we all know that if Miami wins out, it beats Wake and beats Syracuse, that they're going to be in. They're going to be in the ACC championship. Now, for me, the confusing part to me is I thought the power, as I said in the beginning of the show, I thought the power for conferences, the leaders at the time were automatically going to get the buys, which is why I thought SMU was going to be number 4 this week and not Miami. I thought Miami probably was going to be 12th at best and maybe even sitting on the outside like Georgia is right now. And I wouldn't have been angry about that. It's kind of what I expected, to be honest with you, the way everybody else won and got upset this week. But I'm not going to things are going to change. And I think in the next 3 weeks, you're never going to satisfy everybody. But it will sort of play itself out in a lot of these big games coming up. And we'll find out who's in the conference championships and who isn't. And I think overall, people will be pretty satisfied at the outcome of the college football playoff. Now, I wish some of this stuff in the room was being televised. I would love to hear the debate and discussion that goes on with the college football playoff committee and how they get to the veracity of their conclusions. I would love to see that. One more video, Angelo, if we could. Back to college, back to the NFL and the Pat McAfee show yesterday. Our good friend Aaron Rodgers out there, blah, 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 shoulda, woulda, coulda, stunka, stinka, stupa, we stink. This is your Jets quarterback making more excuses.
There's a lot of distractions, and in the end, it comes down to, can you figure out a way to prepare that gets you ready to play? Can you go out and execute what you prepared? Because every offense, regardless who's calling it, can be great or terrible. It just comes down to execution. And the coaches get blamed, but in the end, it's the players who are out there trying to execute it. And when there are mistakes, the majority of the time, it comes down to preparation. And you got to look at what you were doing during your downtime, how much communication were you having on the side, and in practice habits too. Great teams practice a certain way, and we've actually, unfortunately, had some really good weeks of practice because the product hasn't always been great. But I feel like the last 3 weeks have been the 3 best weeks of practice we've had. So nobody, I don't feel like on offense felt like we were going to go out and score 6 points. Now, credit to their defense; they got some really good players, and there's some good things, but. I often feel like it's us against us out there. We're kind of playing against ourselves, and if we don't screw it up, we can be a dynamic offense. But unfortunately, too many times we've been the ones screwing it up.
Yeah, that's everywhere, brother. I don't think that's just one place. I appreciate your insight into all that too, because I haven't been in the locker room. Obviously, as many things have changed over the last 7 years. I could see how it'd be difficult, to to keep the main thing. But I think what a lot of people don't understand, I'm not talking about your situation. I'm not talking about just the Colts situation. I'm talking about every situation in the NFL with guys who haven't been cut before or fired. It's like, you are a piece of gum. Okay. And whenever your flavor runs out, whether it's an end of an ability or an end of a likingness or an end of professional, whatever it is, whenever your flavor is no longer the one, literally, it is spit out. This isn't, and there's no rules on where that thing can be spit out or when it could be your birthday.
Yeah.
It could be, they will spit your ass out and move on to the next piece of gum and it's over. Then you're sitting on a bar stool wondering what the hell happened. It's like, well, you had your opportunity, you didn't take advantage of it. Like, people don't think that's possible because throughout their entire life, they've never been cut. Everybody's wanted them on our team. We want you on our team. Please, God, be on our team. Please, if you're on our team's better. Then you get to the NFL, it's like everybody in this league has been that person at a different stage of their life. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunities potentially being blown by people, and I don't like that.
Including the guy you're interviewing.
Yep.
Big part of it. The reason why the Jets stink, a big part of it is that guy you're interviewing. Plain and simple. And it sounded like a speech from Rocky IV, when Rocky was like, Apollo, maybe the battle inside, maybe it's like you against you. I mean, that's what it sounds like right before he goes into fight Ivan Drago. So I don't know. Please, Aaron Rodgers, with your bullshit. It's unbelievable. Your team stinks. You are terrible. You've been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league this year. As far as leadership goes, you're at the bottom in my book. Absolute bottom.
Yeah. By the way, in there in between, did he say guys on vacation? Did he talk about himself?
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Yeah. He took a vacation and said he's so full of it. Jets are awful. They're going nowhere.
Yep.
All right, Angel. I'll tell you what. We'll get out of here today. And let you go. Yeah, go ahead.
I almost forgot. Beeves World will be back tonight at 6 p.m. I almost forgot about that one.
Yes, Jay Flanley does a great job. I had a great discussion with him yesterday, so check him out tonight from 6 to 7, I believe.
Yep.
Angel, go get some rest if you can. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. We will talk all things NFL and college football. Trevor Harris will join me. We'll talk about the Canes. We'll have either Mick Colaggio or DeAndre Lou or both of them on with me as well. And NFL guests too, which Angel will get the list in about 6 hours once I confirm everything. All right, have a great and safe rest of your Hump Day Wednesday, everybody. I am Pete. I'm back tomorrow at 7 a.m. See ya. Bye-bye. Cross